Chapter 36-38, I'm almost there. Having been in the invincible domain for more than 2 months, Wang Xian had a better understanding of the situation there. Inside the invincible domain was a huge void chasm. Massive amounts of energy were gathered here, and there were all sorts of strange things that could not be found in the outside world. Of course, there were also some places that were empty. After 2 months of flying, he arrived at the territory of Taishui Demon King. Looking at the buildings here, there was no longer any life in them. He raised his eyebrows slightly. Taishui Demon King and his offspring had escaped. Wang Xian switched on the universe AI to take a look, but there was no information. After all, there were too few living beings in the invincible domain. Moreover, those who stayed here were all old monsters. They rarely gossiped. So be it. I'll continue to fly deeper and hunt some wild beasts and giant space beasts. Wang Xian murmured. This time, hunting wild beasts and giant space beasts was his main goal. This time he didn't fly leisurely. Instead, he shuttled back and forth quickly. He maintained the speed of a First-Order Universe Lord. He did not reach his maximum speed so as to preserve his speed as a trump card. But even so, his speed was still very fast. Time passed quickly again. Flying in the invincible domain, Wang Xian rarely met other living beings. There seems to be a gathering place ahead. After flying for half a month, a building domain appeared in Wang Xian's sight. In all directions, there were mountains in the shape of a black tortoise floating around. Black tortoise, the image of the pinnacle race Black Tortoise? Is this where the old monsters of the Black Tortoise race gather? Wang Xian guessed. Within the invincible domain, there were many places where many experts gathered. These places where the old monsters of the invincible domain gathered were also the places where the god kingdoms of the universe lords who had fought and died with them. Because their god kingdoms were summoned here, they were left here after their deaths, forming a treasure land. But the area ahead was obviously occupied by an old monster of the pinnacle race. In the invincible domain, the old monsters of the pinnacle races also had their own advantages. They would not kill each other but instead form alliances. Wang Xian flew forward, intending to bypass this area. The gathering place of the old monsters of the Black Tortoise race in the invincible domain was not worth provoking. Someone is flying over here with a huge dragon aura. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? Just as Wang Xian was about to make a detour in this area, lying on a pagoda and absorbing energy, the Black Tortoise opened its eyes and looked ahead. His eyes flickered. It should be that Dragon King. Rumor has it that he has a treasure that can stabilize his mind. Is that true? Whether it's true or not, we'll know once we ask them. At this time, the entire domain of the ruined divine kingdom resounded with the voices of 2 other people communicating. The Black Tortoise, who was lying on the pagoda, moved and flew straight ahead. At the same time, 6 old monsters from the Black Tortoise clan flew towards Wang Xian from a few other locations. Wang Xian, who was flying, suddenly sensed the movement of the Black Tortoise realm. He raised his eyebrows and looked over immediately. In his line of sight, 7 black tortoises flew towards Wang Xian. Each of them had a powerful aura. However, in Wang Xian's opinion, was a little weak. May I ask if you are the Dragon King of Dragon Palace? A Xuanwu looked at Wang Xian and asked directly. That's right. Wang Xian looked at them. He stopped in the void and replied with flickering eyes. 7 black tortoises? If the other party had malicious intentions, he wouldn't mind killing all of them. Killing them in the invincible domain? That wouldn't be a problem. Rumor has it that you have a treasure that can stabilize your mind? Can you sell some to us? We're willing to pay a high price for it. A black tortoise asked as he sized Wang Xian up with flickering eyes. A treasure that can stabilize one's mind? Wang Xian was taken aback when he heard this. He was puzzled. Who said that I have a treasure that can stabilize one's mind? Dragon King doesn't have one? Many experts in the invincible domain have spread this news. A treasure that can stabilize one's mind is extremely useful to many experts in the invincible domain. That black tortoise was staring at Wang Xian, trying to determine if he was speaking the truth. Wang Xian raised his eyebrows. Someone actually said that he had such a treasure? His eyes flickered. However, Wang Xian did indeed have a treasure that could stabilize one's mind. Consuming the eternal pregnancy fruit. Consuming the eternal pregnancy fruit could awaken the intelligence of living beings. Was this the branch of a universe supremacy? A fruit that grew from it? This fruit? It had always been of little value to Wang Xian. It wasn't very useful. On the progenitor tree of the Dragon Palace, there were already thousands of such fruits. Consuming the eternal fruit could awaken one's spiritual wisdom, and it could also stabilize one's mind. It was extremely useful to experts in the universe supremacy realm. And in the invincible domain, there weren't any existences above the universe supremacy realm. Yes, there are. He replied directly, and a fruit of eternal womb appeared in his palm. The moment the eternal pregnancy fruit appeared, the eyes of the 7 black tortoises lit up and were filled with passion. If you want to exchange, sure. You have to show me enough treasures. Wang Xian said with a smile. Another 10 eternal pregnancy fruits floated in front of him. He wanted to see how strong the other party was. If he couldn't, that would be even better. Of course, this was also because Wang Xian had his principles. If it were someone else with his strength, he might have killed the experts from the Black Tortoise clan and used them as resources. Wang Xian couldn't bring himself to do such a thing. Dragon King, what treasures do you want to exchange for? The 7 black tortoises suppressed the greed in their hearts and asked Wang Xian. 5 innate spiritual treasures, or 10 times the price of a divine fruit of the same level. Wang Xian said with a smile. This was like asking for an exorbitant price. 5 innate spiritual treasures? Dragon King, this price is too high. This is just a pinnacle universe supremacy realm fruit. His words made the 7 black tortoises hold their breaths. This was daylight robbery. A pinnacle universe supremacy realm fruit was worth less than 1/10 of an innate spiritual treasure. Now, 5 of them were needed to exchange for 1 fruit. Although this fruit was more precious and would be extremely useful to experts in the invincible domain. But this was too much of a scam. It's up to you if you want to exchange. Wang Xian replied with a smile. All right, we'll exchange. The 7 black tortoises looked at each other, gritted their teeth and nodded. They were all old monsters and had 4 to 5 innate spiritual treasures in their hands. Some even had more than a dozen. It was still possible to exchange for 1. Most importantly, this fruit was too important to some experts. It was comparable to their lives. Chapter 36-39, Hee Hee. Wang Xian had not expected the 7 black tortoises to really make a deal with him. 1 eternal womb fruit for 5 connate spiritual treasures. This was definitely a huge profit. It was a completely unfair trade. From this, one could see how important the eternal pregnancy fruit was to the experts of the invincible domain. The strength of some old monsters in invincible domain increased, but their realms did not break through, causing their temperament to be unable to control their own strength. The importance of a treasure that could stabilize and strengthen one's mind was beyond Wang Xian's imagination. This was also the reason why the angels deliberately spread the news that the Dragon King had a treasure that could stabilize his mind. If you still want to continue trading, you can find me on the Universe AI. After the transaction was completed, Wang Xian spoke to them with a smile. All right. The 7 Xuanwu experts squeezed out a smile and nodded. Wang Xian nodded his head and continued flying forward. This Dragon King is asking for too much. One is willing to take the hit, and the other is willing to take the hit. There's nothing we can do. Seeing Wang Xian leaving, the 7 Xuanwu experts shook their heads helplessly. The other party did not force them to buy or sell. However, this fruit is very useful to us. Its energy can enhance our intelligence, which is even more important to the top experts of the invincible realm. A Xuanwu expert looked at the eternal pregnancy fruit in his hand, and his eyes shone brightly. If it's a top-notch expert, 1 fruit won't be enough. It'll be best if there are a dozen or more. An expert at the side hesitated for a moment before carefully storing the fruit away. The price is too high. Let's spread the news that the Dragon King has a divine fruit that can strengthen his spiritual intelligence and stabilize his mind. A Xuanwu expert's lips curled up as he spoke indifferently. The rest of the Xuanwu experts smiled and nodded their heads. In any case, there were already experts in the invincible domain spreading the news that the Dragon King had a treasure that could stabilize his mind. It didn't matter if they spread it a little more. Going with the flow, they were also prepared to advertise the price. As for whether the other experts in the invincible domain wanted to buy it or steal it, it was none of their business. Their actions were also an expression of their dissatisfaction with Wang Xian. The price was too high. There might not be anyone who would trade. Instead, they would carry out robbery. Wang Xian flew towards the depths of the invincible domain. The 7 black tortoises had already passed the news to the experts they were familiar with, and it spread to the invincible domain, to the circle of the experts of the other peak races. However, when the news that the Dragon King possessed a treasure that could stabilize his mind was confirmed, it caused quite a stir. But when he saw the Dragon King's selling price, his face darkened. A pinnacle universe venerable level god fruit actually needs 5 Xiantian treasures to exchange for it. Isn't this too much? It's a scam. It's really a scam. The more fruits of this level we can get, the better. For those top experts, they need at least a dozen of them. A dozen of them means 60 to 70 primordial spiritual treasures. This price is too expensive for top experts. From the looks of it, the Dragon Palace's Dragon King has quite a number of these divine fruits. If he had more of these divine fruits, wouldn't he be able to help the frenzied demon recover? Inside the invincible domain, some experts were discussing amongst themselves. Could it stabilize one's mind? A divine fruit that could improve one's state of mind? It was extremely useful to many experts. This was especially true for peak or even crazed existences. If a madman could obtain a large number of divine fruits, he might even be able to break free from his current state and regain his sanity. All the experts guessed. This news? It was slowly spreading within the invincible domain. A group of old monsters from peak races? They were the first to receive this news and then spread it to other places. Wang Xian was still flying towards the depths of the invincible domain. With the entire diameter of the invincible domain, he would need to fly for about a year before he could reach the destination. I didn't expect the Dragon King to really have a treasure that can stabilize one's state of mind. And even made a deal? The Dragon King is simply courting his own death by offering such a high price. Located within the void of the invincible domain? A dozen old monsters from the Angel clan received this news. Their eyes lit up. Did they just fabricate a lie? In the end, this lie turned out to be the truth. To them, this was a great benefit. The Dragon King had a divine fruit that could stabilize one's state of mind? And the price was so high. Within the invincible domain, there were many experts who were unwilling to pay such a high price. Capture the Dragon King? Or even kill him? Wouldn't all the treasures belong to them? Of course, in the invincible domain, there weren't many who could kill the Dragon King one-on-one. The Dragon King was strong and could kill the frenzied demon seal. But he wouldn't be able to withstand the alliance of the old monsters and their trump cards. I might have to be more careful from now on. At the same time, Wang Xian, who was flying in the invincible domain, murmured to himself with a smile on his face. He reckoned that he had purposely sold the treasure that could stabilize one's state of mind at a high price. At that time, when someone came to snatch the treasure, he could kill them directly. However, Wang Xian had already exposed a little of his strength. He had to be more careful from now on. In case of sneak attacks from some old monsters. He continued flying forward. After a month, he arrived at another area left behind by the God Nation. This was an area filled with flames, and the entire area was engulfed in flames. In the middle of the flames there were huge meteorites. These meteorites were also emitting scorching heat. The fire attribute energy is very active. This is a treasure land. There should be old monsters from the invincible domain cultivating and surviving here. Wang Xian looked ahead with sparkling eyes. He didn't stop and continued flying forward. There's an expert coming to our area. He's exuding the aura of a divine dragon. I can confirm that he's a purebred divine dragon. The possibility of him being the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace is very high. In the invincible domain, they would know the location of some experts in advance once someone entered. Wang Xian didn't hide and was discovered immediately. More than a dozen demons in this area immediately came out from the huge meteorites. This area was called the Sea of Demons. From the name, one could tell that this was the area occupied by the old monsters from the peak races. Demons were mainly of the fire and darkness attributes. Based on Wang Xian's aura, the dozen demons immediately determined that he was the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace. This Dragon King has a treasure that can stabilize one's state of mind. It can be sold at a high price. Moreover, given his strength, even if we join forces, we won't be able to kill him. The dozen demons immediately conversed. Their eyes were filled with greed as they stared at Wang Xian. Don't attack first. Check the direction he's heading to. We're familiar with the invincible domain, said a demon with flickering eyes. Chapter 3640. Wang Xian flew past the Sea of Demons and nothing happened. This made him raise his eyebrows. He did not stop and continued to fly deeper into the Sea of Demons. He was going to hunt some wild beasts and giant space beasts in the invincible domain. There were many wild beasts and giant space beasts in the invincible domain. Among them, there were a few thousand third-order universe sovereigns. Let's go. We'll follow the traces and follow behind. A dozen demons saw Wang Xian leaving. Their eyes shone with a blood-red glow as they transmitted their voices. Without any hesitation, They flew in the direction where Wang Xian had disappeared. Every pinnacle race had their own terrifying points. The strength of the demons lay in their physical bodies, eyes and wings. Their eyes possessed great power. Although Wang Xian had disappeared, they could still follow the traces left behind. This Dragon King's speed is too fast. We can't keep up at all. We might lose him in a few days. After flying for more than 10 minutes, one of the demons frowned slightly and said, "His speed is comparable to a true universe sovereign. We need to rely on other treasures. Let's go and board the ship. In order to prevent any accidents, we have to make some plans." One of the demons waved his arm and a dark ship appeared in front of them. This ship had huge sails with devil's wings painted on them. This was a Khanate cardinal treasure, an auxiliary and speed-type cardinal treasure. Riding on the devil ship and injecting energy into it, one could achieve great speed. All right. A dozen demons flew onto the ship immediately. Contact the other circles in the invincible domain and see if they are interested. If I remember correctly, we should be able to reach a territory occupied by the old monsters of the skeleton clan if we continue to fly deeper into the sea of demons? Contact them. One of the demons said. At this time the devil ship started moving. The devil's wings on the sails flapped eerily. The devil ship instantly erupted with speed that was no weaker than a universe sovereign. The traces of the Dragon King are very obvious. Let's slow down and not get discovered. A few hours later, a demon stared ahead with his blood-red eyes and said to the owner of the devil ship, "All right." The demon nodded and slightly reduced his speed. That Dragon King didn't change his direction. After 3 days, he should be able to reach the territory occupied by the old monsters of the skeleton clan. The old monsters of the skeleton clan are willing to make a move. At the same time, the top experts of our invincible domain, the skeleton clan's barbarian skeleton chief, also want to make a move. At that time they will ask us to split the profits 50-50. Can I? In order to prevent any accidents, the experts of the skeleton race were sent over to welcome them. The position in front? I can't return to my divine kingdom in an instant. At this time a few old demons were talking to each other. The dozen or so demons had already come up with a plan. At the same time, far away in front of them, in this void, 3 incomparably huge astral beast skeletons were floating. The skeletons of the 3 giant starry sky beasts no longer had the slightest bit of energy. It covered a huge area, especially a giant star beast. Although the black leather had lost its energy, the black leather did not have any energy left. However, it was still preserved, covering an area of space. Was this a treasure trove? It was occupied by the old monsters of the skeleton clan. At this time, 7 or 8 skeletons quickly flew out from underneath the skeleton of a giant starry sky beast in the center. 7 or 8 skeletons flew out rapidly. The will-o'-the-wisp in their eyes danced and their bodies exuded a dark aura. Chirp chirp. Very soon, below the 8 experts of the skeleton race, an incomparably huge skeleton bird appeared. The skeleton bird carried them? They disappeared in an instant. In the void of the invincible domain, Wang Xian shuttled rapidly. At this time he suddenly exclaimed. His eyes shone and the corners of his mouth curled up. In the invincible domain, someone had advertised that he had a treasure that could stabilize one's mind. He added fuel to the fire by publicizing this matter and quoted an extremely high price for it. To some of the old monsters of the invincible domain, such an action was simply courting death. Such an action was extremely dangerous. Wang Xian also knew that it was extremely dangerous. Therefore, after completing the transaction with the Black Tortoise race, he had been on high alert. When he was flying, he would hide a nether ghost doppelganger behind him and blend into the meteorites, monitoring the rear. Moreover, whenever there was a complicated terrain ahead, he would send another nether ghost doppelganger to check it out. If he was on guard from both front and back, the possibility of ambushing him would be reduced by more than half. But now, the nether ghost doppelganger behind him sent a message. A dark ship was flying, following his tracks. On the dark ship, the nether ghost doppelganger saw the figure of the devil. A dark ship. Devil. This instantly made Wang Xian recall that when he passed through the domain, there was no movement from that domain. It was not that there was no movement, but that the devil had been following him. Following him so stealthily, it was definitely not a good thing. They must be following me to consume the eternal pregnancy fruit. Since they did not trade with me, they must be trying to snatch it. The devil race has a powerful tracking ability. In addition, they did not attack immediately. Do they feel that they are not strong enough, or do they want me to go deeper? If I go deeper, it will be extremely difficult to break through this void crack and return to my God kingdom. It might even be impossible. Or are they waiting for someone? Working with other experts? Wang Xian analyzed and did not act immediately. He stopped in the void and moved. Another nether ghost doppelganger flew ahead. He reduced his speed to the combat strength of a third-order universe lord. In this way, the nether ghost doppelganger could maintain a certain distance from him. In this way, Wang Xian continued flying. The Dragon King's speed has decreased. We have to slow down. At the rear, the devil controlling the devil ship stared ahead and suddenly spoke, causing the speed of the devil ship to decrease greatly. The rest of the devils nodded and carefully observed their surroundings. Time passed slowly, and the experts from the skeleton clan were closing in rapidly. Behind them, a dozen old monsters from the devil clan maintained a certain speed and followed behind. There are experts from the skeleton clan in front and experts from the devil clan behind. Interesting. They are indeed here to snatch the treasure and attack together. 2 days later, the nether ghost doppelganger immediately returned after seeing the experts from the skeleton clan ahead. Wang Xian revealed a faint smile. It was time to reap the rewards. Chapter 3641. It was time to reap the rewards. Wang Xian floated in the void and did not continue flying. He stood there calmly and sensed the surrounding situation. It was already difficult for him to return to his universe kingdom in an instant. He needed 5 to 6 seconds to open a crack in the void. The reason for this was the giant starry beast. The giant starry beasts did not have their own universe kingdom. It could be said that their bodies were their god kingdom and the source of their energy. Therefore they could not escape immediately. Some giant starry beasts had special abilities and special spaces. For example, Kuan's Kuan domain. Within the Kuan domain, one could not escape back to their own god kingdom. Within the invincible domain, there were remnants of the special substances of the giant starry beasts that had died in the Great War. Just nice. If that group of guys wants to escape, they can only rely on flying. Wang Xian smiled. He looked to the front and back and turned sideways. The Dragon King has stopped. The Dragon King has stopped? Has he stopped? Did he discover us? But the barbarian star skeleton leader and the rest of the skeleton clan are only a minute away from us. The Dragon King can't escape. Brother Aslai, control your devil ship and speed up. At the rear, when Wang Xian stopped, the 15 devils observed the situation through their eyes and shouted immediately. What's going on? We have contacted the barbarian star skeleton leader and the rest. They will meet us soon. It is difficult to break the space and escape back to his god kingdom. The Dragon King is dead. The Dragon King is too arrogant and presumptuous. If he wants to blame someone, he can only blame the treasure in his hands. With our strength, it should not be a problem to kill him easily. There are 15 of us, plus the barbarian star skeleton leader and the other 8. Especially the barbarian star skeleton leader, the skeleton army under him is very terrifying. With our strength, Brother Aslai and the barbarian star skeleton leader, killing the Dragon King should not be a problem. The group of devils said confidently with their eyes glowing. When they joined forces, it would be very terrifying. The other party had the barbarian star skeleton leader, a top-notch old monster from the invincible domain. They also had the extremely powerful Aslai mountain demon. More than 20 experts from the invincible domain and experts from 2 top-notch races. Even killing an old monster was a piece of cake. Although the Dragon King could easily kill the crazy devil seal, they also had the strength to kill the Dragon King. One had to know that their ally was the skeleton clan. The skeleton clan's skeleton sea tactic could easily exhaust a powerhouse to death. Furthermore, they were attacking from the side? This battle? They didn't even know how they lost. Did you see the Dragon King? They still haven't escaped. Was he really that confident? He's actually waiting for us. Soon? The fiend of Mount Aslai, who was controlling the fiend ship, saw the figure floating in the void in front of him. The demon's eyes were filled with excitement. He's here. Wang Xian standing in the void? He scanned the left side. His gaze swept across the 15 demons on the demon ship, and the corners of his mouth curled up. He averted his gaze? Looked to the right. Over there? An incomparably huge skeleton bird was flying above the skeleton bird. The 8 skeletons stood there quietly. One of the skeletons wielding a black greatsword? He stood in the center. Dragon King of Dragon Palace? What a coincidence. The demon of Mount Aslai controlled the fiend ship and stopped in the void. He smiled and sized Wang Xian up. What a coincidence. Wang Xian looked at the burly demon with the wings of the devil. The demon of Mount Aslai, who had a profound aura, revealed a faint smile. Chirp chirp. The right side. The skeleton bird also stopped in the void and let out a chirp. The 8 skeletons on it didn't make a move. I heard that the Dragon King has divine fruits that can stabilize one's mind. I wonder if you can give them all to us? The blood-red light in the eyes of the demon of Mount Aslai gradually overflowed. His entire body gradually enlarged. The aura that belonged to the demon of Mount Aslai dispersed to the surroundings. The 14 demons around him moved and flew to the side. They flapped their incomparably huge demon wings and gradually formed an encirclement. I heard that the heads of the demons are pretty good decorations. I can use the divine fruits to exchange for your heads. Wang Xian replied with a smile when he heard the demon of Mount Aslai. TSK, looks like we can only take it ourselves? Upon hearing him, demon of Mount Aslai flapped his demon wings slightly. His eyes revealed a sinister look as he laughed sinisterly. Demon of Mount Aslai, you guys are talking too much nonsense. I still want another divine dragon skeleton. On the right side, the barbarian star skeleton leader stood in the middle of the skeleton bird's head and said plainly, Walala. Walalala. Walala. As soon as he finished his sentence, the 7 skeletons beside him immediately flew in all directions. In the next instant, a horrifying scene unfolded before everyone's eyes. Behind them, countless skeletons appeared out of thin air. At a glance, there wasn't any editing at all. The strongest group of skeletons consisted of flying skeleton birds, crouching skeleton beasts, and sinister-looking skeleton sorcerers with magic staffs in their hands. The bodies of these skeleton sorcerers were burning with black hellfire. The Hellfire Army and the Skeleton Navy were the symbols of the skeleton tribe. Hellfire represented long-range combat. The Sea of Skeletons represented close combat. All of them were human wave tactics. Behind each old skeleton monster, the number of skeletons had reached hundreds of millions of kilometers. Especially the skeleton army of the barbarian star skeleton leader in the center. One couldn't even see the end of the army. The aura of the 10 skeletons around him was no weaker than ordinary third-order universe sovereigns. Even the 15 demons who had witnessed the strength of the skeleton tribe had a tinge of astonishment in their eyes. One of the top race rules: never engage in a one-on-one battle with a skeleton. The probability of the skeleton tribe being invincible among the same level was higher. They really came prepared. Sea of Skeletons, demons. Very well, I'll take the heads of the demons and destroy the Sea of Skeletons. Wang Xian looked at the Sea of Skeletons on his right, his eyes gleaming. This was the first time he was facing an expert from the skeleton tribe. This was truly a human wave tactic. Overwhelming in terms of numbers. The combined strength of these fellows was much stronger than the crazy demon seal. But there was one thing. Unless they attacked at the same time, otherwise, arrogant he. Today I'll bury you, Dragon King, in the invincible domain. The group of demons stared coldly at Wang Xian. Gusts of demon wind formed behind them. Chapter 36-42. Rumble, rumble. Rumble, rumble, rumble. The devil's wind formed on the left and a terrifying dark storm shrouded the entire space. Each of the 15 abyssal powerhouses contained a powerful aura. Devil's ship. The demon from Mount Aslai let out a deep roar and waved his palm. The devil's ship hovered in the storm and expanded rapidly. The devil's ship, which was originally 1,000 meters long, seemed to have expanded tens of thousands of times in the wind. The entire ship exuded a dark luster. The devil's wings on the sails seemed to have come alive and were flapping slightly. A terrifying energy was brewing. Kill? On the right, the star barbarian skeleton leader raised the huge sword in his hand and let out a cold voice. Roar, roar, roar. Ka ka ka. Kill, 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 kill. In an instant, the countless skeletons behind him roared. Kill, kill. Kill, kill. The other 7 skeleton powerhouses also roared out crazily. Devil's wind sweep. The 15 demons from Mount Aslai roared and the terrifying devil's wind blew towards Wang Xian. The devil's ship in the middle emitted a deep and terrifying luster as it locked onto Wang Xian. Wang Xian sneered as he looked at the devil's wind that was charging towards him first. The combined strength of the surrounding demons and skeletons was definitely stronger than the crazed demon seal. But in fact, to Wang Xian, the crazed demon seal was even harder to deal with. This was because the attack of the crazed demon seal could break the defense of the Tai Chi Dragon Plate without Wang Xian's enhancement. But if they wanted to break the defense of the Tai Chi Dragon Plate, they would need the combined attack of most of the demons and skeletons. Once the attacks were scattered or followed by attacks, they would not be able to break the defense of the Tai Chi Dragon Plate. It was the same for the skeleton army. The Tai Chi Dragon Plate was very different from ordinary defensive inborn cardinal treasures. It had its own life and was formed by Wang Xian's light and darkness doppelgangers. Without control or consumption, it could unleash terrifying power. Unlike other inborn cardinal treasures, it needed to be controlled. All of you have to die. Swoosh. Wang Xian moved and the unbeginning sacred wings appeared behind him. In an instant he attacked the 15 demons. His speed was at its maximum. Other than the Mount Aslai demon who could see Wang Xian's speed clearly, the others could not. Bam. With the 5 elements grindstone in hand, Wang Xian took the lead to meet the devil's ship. The 5 elements great grindstone enlarged and smashed heavily towards him. Boom. A violent collision sound rang out, and the entire Tai Chi Dragon Plate was sent flying backwards. With the Tai Chi Dragon coil circling around his body, Wang Xian ignored the attacks of the devil's wind and locked onto the devils one by one. Boom. What? Right at this moment, the mountain fiend suddenly spat out a mouthful of blood. The attack of the innate cardinal treasure, the devil's ship, struck his body and injured him. However, he was even more shocked by Wang Xian's terrifying speed. Devil Wind was one of the strongest techniques of the 15 devils. Even if this attack wasn't at their peak, it could still be ranked in the top. Combined with his devil's ship? This is the crazed demon restriction? He had to use all his strength to resist. However, what about the Dragon King? Flying over directly, ignoring the devil wind and sending the devil ship flying? No matter how strong the Dragon King was, in their calculations the Dragon King would have to put up some resistance there. What if he resisted? The skeleton race's sea of skeletons could instantly surround the Dragon King. Then they would use the sea of skeletons to besiege him from the side? They had a high chance of exhausting him to death. One should know. The mountain fiend Asper was comparable to the old scholar, Demon King Tai Shui. As for the barbarian star skeleton leader from the skeleton race, his strength was close to the crazed demon level. Even if he wasn't a match for the crazed demon restriction, he wasn't too afraid of it. What terrifying speed. Shit. The Dragon King is trying to take us down one by one. Shit. The mountain fiend Asper's expression changed drastically. Barbarian star skeleton leader, attack? We can't be taken down one by one. He quickly roared at the barbarian star skeleton leader opposite him. Kill. The barbarian star skeleton leader saw Wang Xian attack? Saw his terrifying speed? The ghostly fire in his eyes flickered constantly as he roared. He flew over with the black giant sword in his hand. Kill. At the side, the other 7 skeleton experts followed on the left and right and charged over. The entire skeleton navy followed behind them. In my opinion, you guys aren't even comparable to the crazed demon restriction. Courting death. Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning sacred wings, locked onto a demon, and flew over at a terrifying speed. With Wang Xian's speed, he was least afraid of being surrounded. Moreover, they had yet to form a siege formation. This was simply courting death. Shit, the Dragon King's target is me. Devil Nightmare control. Nightmare Starry Sky kill? The skeleton expert who was attacked by Wang Xian had a drastic change of expression. A blood-red energy surged towards Wang Xian from the eyes of the demon. Swoosh. However, Wang Xian didn't dodge at all. The Tai Chi dragon coiled around his body and his arms turned into dragon claws. Shit, support Blackstone Flame. The other 14 demons narrowed their eyes. They flapped their wings and weapons appeared in their hands. All of them slashed in Wang Xian's direction. However, their speed was too slow in Wang Xian's eyes. This group of old monsters from the invincible domain was at most comparable to 3 to 4 ordinary third-order universe sovereigns. If they joined forces, it would be a piece of cake for them to fight against a first-order universe sovereign. However, Wang Xian was an existence that could fight against a second-order universe sovereign. Especially in terms of speed, he was 1.5 levels higher than them. With his speed, the group of demons couldn't keep up at all. Energy surged on the dragon claws. The destructive force of the 5 elements grindstone was added to his arm as he crushed the devil nightmare directly. Boom. The dragon claws swept across and the demon was caught in his hand. The 5 elements grindstone flew out from Wang Xian's body with the roar of a divine dragon as it crushed towards the demon. Bam. Instant kill in one move. First one. Wang Xian smiled faintly. His pair of dragon eyes fixed on the next demon as he charged forward. The unbeginning saint wings flapped and he disappeared once again. Shit, join forces and defend. Hang on. Hang on. Seeing one of his companions killed, the Mount Asli demon screamed with a frenzied expression. Devil's protection. Devil's wings protect. Devil's lotus. The 14 demons roared as they closed in quickly. Layers of defense rose up. Break. Wang Xian held the 5 elements grindstone in his hand. Energy circulated and condensed into a huge destructive sword that attacked the defense. Kaka. The huge destructive sword fell and all the defenses collapsed. Swoosh. Wang Xian's unbeginning saint wings flapped and his body swayed. In an instant, he transformed into a divine dragon and attacked. Chapter 36-43, It's over. When Wang Xian transformed into his divine dragon form and attacked them, Asli and the rest of the demons were horrified. The strength of the Dragon King was beyond their imagination. This strength is still at the level of a universe venerable? How is this possible? He's a level higher than those crazy old demons. This is unbelievable. Asli demon couldn't help but growl in a low voice. His eyes were filled with horror. How strong could a pinnacle universe supremacy expert be? To them, a crazy demon was already at the pinnacle of the universe. Even those mutated beings from other pinnacle races weren't as insane as the Dragon King before them. He ignored the attacks of 15 experts. He killed one of their companions with ease. This power caused their bodies to tremble. Brr, brr. Wang Xian roared. The 5 elements grindstone was integrated into his body as he swept his dragon tail. Wang Xian currently had the innate cardinal treasure double dragon eyes in his eyes. He also had a water attribute innate cardinal treasure integrated into his body. With the support of 2 innate cardinal treasures, Wang Xian had almost used up 90% of his trump cards. Tai Chi Dragon Coil, 5 elements grindstone, and the speed of unbeginning saint wings. Other than his companion spirits and dark ghost doppelganger, Wang Xian had used up all his other trump cards. He was even stronger than when he used the crazy demon seal. The main purpose was to prevent the 15 demons from teaming up with the 8 experts from the skeleton clan. Before the other party could react, he would annihilate the experts from the devil clan. Once they were annihilated, the 8 experts from the skeleton clan wouldn't amount to much. Boom. Block. As the dragon tail swept across, the remaining 14 demons roared in horror and despair. The energy defense that they released was blocked. They could only defend with their physical bodies. The devil wings protected their bodies and resisted the attacks. Boom. However, as Wang Xian swept across, it landed on the 5 devils first. The destructive force and horrifying divine dragon power on it caused the aura of the 5 devils to vanish instantly. Arg, blood Kirin. The ancestors have descended to protect us. When the demons behind saw 5 of their companions killed in an instant, their hearts tightened and they shouted with all their might. Bam. 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 A few more loud noises were heard in succession. It's useless. Defense was completely useless. Wang Xian's attacks were reinforced by the 5 elements grindstone. Even a second-order universe sovereign would have to defend against it with all his might. They hadn't even reached the first-order universe sovereign realm. How were they supposed to defend? 4 more explosions rang out and 4 more evil demons were killed. As for the fiend known as Aesir Shan, he didn't face him head-on. While Wang Xian was busy attacking the rest of the demons, he managed to escape the range of the dragon tail. The rest of the demons also hurriedly fled. There was no way to resist. At this moment, they understood that the gap between them was too great. The Dragon King was not someone they could kill. Even if there were experts from the skeleton clan. Even if they surrounded the Dragon King? He now understood that he would not be able to kill the Dragon King. Instead he would be killed. But all this? It was too late. Kill? Right at this moment, an icy cold voice resounded. Wang Xian instantly sensed a powerful attack. It attacked him. Oh. When he sensed the attack, he raised his eyebrows slightly. Was this attack very powerful? Some were even stronger than the Tai Shui Demon King. He turned his dragon head. He saw an attack slashing towards him. The sword of the barbarian star skeleton leader and a wave of energy rushed towards him. And in the trace of this sword? Hideous and terrifying skeletons that looked like ferocious ghosts emerged from the sword radiance. The horrifying sword radiance reached hundreds of millions of kilometers? And the hundreds of millions of kilometers? More than 1 billion skeletons emerged from the sword radiance. And they attacked Wang Xian in unison. This attack was extremely strange and terrifying. The reinforcements of the barbarian star skeleton leader are here. The strength of the barbarian star skeleton leader is so strong? It's much stronger than we expected. Great. In front of him? When the remaining 5 evil demons saw the attack of the barbarian star skeleton leader, their eyes were filled with hope. Towering dragon horns. Wang Xian looked at the sword radiance and the dragon horns shone brightly. Boom. A 9-colored radiance and 2 dazzling dragon horns? Surrounded by the shadow of a divine dragon, they charged towards the sword radiance. Boom. Boom. The dragon horns collided with the sword radiance, and the skeletons that emerged from the sword radiance collapsed rapidly. Skeleton clan, don't worry. It'll be your turn after I kill the evil demons. Wang Xian said emotionlessly. He flapped his unbeginning saint wings and lightning flashed on it. Crackle. Wang Xian ignored the experts from the skeleton clan who were charging towards him and continued his attack on the remaining 5 evil demons. No, no, no. Barbarian star skeleton leader, save us. Once we're killed, it'll be hard for you guys to escape. One of the evil demons felt death shrouding him as he screamed at the experts from the skeleton clan in horror. They were no match for the evil demons at all. Their only hope was the experts from the skeleton clan. It's too late. Do you think I don't know that you guys are courting death and have been following me? Wang Xian said sarcastically as his dragon claws clawed at the evil demon. Arg! A blood-curdling scream sounded. Wang Xian did not waver as he continued to lock onto the next evil demon. Run, run, run. At this moment, the remaining 4 skeletons howled in despair. They had completely lost their will to fight and turned around to escape. The mountain sly evil demon trembled violently. With a wave of his arm, the devil ship appeared in front of him. He sat on it and fled for his life. Swoosh. Wang Xian's wings flapped vigorously. The 5 elements grindstone appeared in the middle of the 2 wings. Under the flapping of the unbeginning saint wings, the 5 elements grindstone attacked the mountain sly evil demon at a terrifying speed. Hellfire. Burn. Behind Wang Xian, the barbarian star skeleton leader and the rest witnessed this scene. The ghostly fire in their holes flickered continuously as though they had encountered something horrifying. The barbarian star skeleton leader roared as he waved the huge sword in his hand forward. The other 7 skeletons also unleashed powerful attacks towards Wang Xian. Wang Xian's body shook and surges of energy surged into the Tai Chi dragon plate. The Tai Chi dragon coiled behind him and withstood the attacks of the hellfire and others. Bam! Ahead, the fleeing mountain sly evil demon felt a great terror descending upon him. The massive 5 elements grindstone collided with the devil ship once again. The difference was that he felt a horrifying suction force coming from behind him this time. He felt as though the ship was spinning in circles. The 5 elements grindstone began to operate. Chapter 3644. Wang Wang. The 5 elements grindstone spun and a horrifying energy tore the entire devil ship apart. Inborn cardinal treasure was not something that Wang Xian could destroy with his current strength. However, the destructive energy of the 5 elements surged into the devil ship and corroded it. On the demon ship, the Mount Sly demon trembled violently, his eyes revealing a look of despair. Run! He roared crazily, abandoned the devil ship and fled far away. Roar, roar. However, just as he was about to escape, 5 mystical dragons emerged from the 5 elemental grindstone and attacked him. The strength of the 5 elements grindstone was comparable to an ordinary mad demon in the invincible domain. And a mad demon could easily kill the Mount Sly demon. Against the attack of the 5 elements grindstone he could not dodge at all. No, no, no. With a desperate roar, the Mount Sly demon broke down completely. Roar, roar. The 5 divine dragons bit his body and directly pulled him onto the top of the 5 elements grindstone. Swoosh. At the side, Wang Xian swayed his huge dragon body and flapped his unbeginning sacred wings, killing all the other demons with ease. They could not put up any resistance at all. Oh no, leader, the Dragon King is very strong. Oh no, the 15 demons were killed so easily. Leader, the Dragon King is not someone we can deal with. Once they are dead, we will not be their match. At this moment, the 8 experts from the skeleton tribe who were at the back saw this scene. Their ghostly eyes flickered violently as they were filled with fear. They were prepared to join forces with the 15 demons to deal with the Dragon King and force him to take out the treasure that could stabilize his mind. In the end, the 15 demons were easily killed by the Dragon King. Although the 15 demons were not as strong as them, they were not that much weaker than them. However, they were easily killed by the Dragon King. The strength of the Dragon King's front line also shocked them. Run. The barbarian star skeleton leader saw this scene and the ghostly eyes flickered continuously. Without any hesitation he ordered, run. The Dragon King was not their match. The barbarian star skeleton leader was confident that he and the other 7 skeleton experts could deal with the mad demons. However, the Dragon King before them was even more terrifying than the mad demons. This simply defied their common sense. How could a universe supremacy level powerhouse explode with such terrifying battle power? So. The barbarian star skeleton leader's heart skipped a beat, but its body's movements were not slow. It quickly fled. Since you're here, don't even think about escaping. All of you will stay here. Wang Xian noticed the 8 skeleton experts who were trying to escape. His eyes were filled with coldness. Crash. He flapped his unparalleled sacred wings and flew at a speed several times faster than theirs. He chased after them. Leader? Was the Dragon King very fast? He can easily catch up to us. One of the skeletons couldn't help but glance behind him, and instantly roared in horror. Skeleton Core resist. The barbarian star skeleton leader could sense that the Dragon King was getting closer and closer to them and roared loudly. Skeleton Core? Kill. Little ones? Kill. The other 7 skeleton experts immediately ordered their subordinates to attack Wang Xian. Ka. An order from the skeleton powerhouse? The rest of the skeletons didn't dare to resist at all. Flames danced in their eyes as they stared at the sky. With their strength they couldn't lock onto Wang Xian. But with the 8 skeleton experts controlling them, they immediately attacked upwards. Rumble. Hellfire. Incinerate. In an instant, the skeletons that stretched as far as the eye could see immediately launched their attacks, covering the entire area. The densely packed attacks caused the entire void to change color. Ants could bite an elephant to death if there were enough of them. When all kinds of energy were covering one another. This power was also very terrifying. But to Wang Xian there was still a huge gap. I'll use this skeleton army to test out the strongest attack of the 5 elements grind. Wang Xian flapped his wings. The Tai Chi dragon coiled around him, blocking the densely packed attacks. He waved his dragon claws and the 5 elements grind flew over immediately. Wang Xian opened his dragon head, and the energy of the 5 elements surged directly into the 5 elements grind. At the same time the 5 elements grind also began to spin, and as it spun, it became bigger and bigger. The divine dragon on the 5 elements grind started to turn illusory, and gradually turned into a grayish color of annihilation. At this moment, the 5 elements grind seemed to have transformed into a horrifying millstone of annihilation. A power that caused one's heart to palpitate and despair descended upon them. What kind of attack is this? Feeling the energy from the 5 elements grind, the star barbarian skeleton leader trembled. At this moment, the 5 elements grind had already reached the size of hundreds of millions of kilometers. It was even bigger than a planet in the universe. The entire millstone was filled with destructive energy. The 5 elements grind spun rapidly, and the destructive energy shrouded towards the skeleton army. Countless skeletons in the entire skeleton army lifted their heads and looked at the millstone of annihilation above them in horror. Rumble. As the attack of the 5 elements grind landed, it was accompanied by a horrifying impact. The 5 elements grind was like a meat grinder. All the skeletons within its range were disintegrating rapidly. Their bodies were turned into pieces and they were all skeletal parts. This terrifying strike caused half of the skeleton legion's countless skeleton soldiers to die. SSS run. This Dragon King isn't someone we can deal with. Run. When the 8 skeleton powerhouses saw this scene they were stunned. They were completely terrified and had no desire to fight. The strongest move of the skeleton army was their skeleton army. It was their massive sea of skeletons. The skeleton experts were confident that they could take on 2 or even 3 experts of the same level. This was because of their skeleton army. However, half of their skeleton army was wiped out by the Dragon King with a single attack. Such a powerful attack didn't belong to the level of a universe venerable. It was hard for them to imagine what kind of horrifying existence they were facing. He's really strong. Wang Xian looked at the power of the 5 elements grind and his eyes lit up. He flapped his unbeginning saint wings and chased after the 8 skeleton experts rapidly. Without the skeleton army, the skeleton experts weren't very strong among those of the same level. Wang Xian locked on to the star barbarian skeleton leader that was holding a huge black sword and grabbed it with his dragon claws. Get lost. The star barbarian skeleton leader sensed Wang Xian's attack and slashed with its huge sword. As the sword radiance was swung, countless skeletons emerged from the sword radiance and tore at Wang Xian. Wang Xian's dragon horn shone brightly and destroyed the sword radiance with ease. His speed increased exponentially and his dragon claws appeared above his head. It was a good idea to advertise. After all, he could read books in his memory and read them offline. Chapter 36:45. Bam! The dragon claw swiped downwards. The star barbarian skeleton leader raised his head, the ghostly fire in his eyes dimmed. We shouldn't have come to hunt the Dragon King. He was filled with regret. However, it was too late to regret. Bam! A terrifying energy attacked his fire of life, extinguishing all of his vitality. Star barbarian leader. The other 7 skeletons roared in despair. It's your turn. At this moment, a calm voice was heard. Destruction descended. This was not a battle of the same level. It was much easier than the battle with the crazy demon. However, he performed a soul search on the other skeletons. The huge gap in strength allowed him to successfully perform the soul search and obtain a lot of information. At the side, the 5 elements divine dragons coiled around the 5 elements grindstone and spewed out a long river of destruction, extinguishing the life of the rest of the skeleton army. All the skeletons were annihilated. The demons and skeletons that surrounded Wang Xian were all dead. Hee, the harvest this time is not bad. Wang Xian, who was floating in the void, scanned the surrounding void with a smile on his face. The energy contained in each of the 15 demons he killed was 2 to 3 times, even 3 to 4 times that of an ordinary third-order universe sovereign. The energy contained in the strongest demon, Mount Aslai, was more than 10 times that of an ordinary expert of the same level. As for the 8 skeletons, there were a total of 30 third-order sovereigns in their skeleton core. In addition to their corpses, the harvest this time alone could increase the number of third-order universe sovereign experts to 70 to 80 for the Dragon King. This harvest is too great. Wang Xian's eyes were filled with excitement. Coming to the invincible domain this time was the right decision. This was just the beginning. There were thousands of wild beasts and giant space beasts in the invincible domain. If he could annihilate all of them, it would be a terrifying boost to the Dragon Palace. After keeping all the corpses, he looked at the 2 Khanate cardinal treasures in front of him. One was the devil ship. The other was a giant sword. Wang Xian took the giant sword and swung it gently. Within the sword radiance, skeletons crawled out. These skeletons were no different from real skeletons. This was a very powerful Khanate cardinal treasure. At the same time, the demon ship was also very useful. After keeping the 2 inborn cardinal treasures, Wang Xian scanned his surroundings and continued to fly deeper into the forest with a smile. None of the experts knew about the battle here. No powerhouse knew that there were 15 powerful demons and 8 powerful skeletons. He had been killed by the Dragon King of Dragon Palace. Somewhere else in the invincible domain. Some experts were still plotting whether they should attack the Dragon King and snatch his treasures. And there were also experts who had joined forces, ready to snatch the treasure. They were searching for Wang Xian in the invincible domain. The depths of the invincible domain? It's a place where the wild beasts and the giant beasts of the universe of stars live, and it's also a place where the experts of the invincible domain train. After Wang Xian annihilated the 23 experts, he continued flying in the invincible domain. He looked ahead, his eyes shining. The old monsters of the invincible domain? Life and death experience is not limited to fighting with the experts of other races. They would also fight against wild beasts and giant star beasts. Once the wild beasts and giant star beasts were annihilated, the corpses of the wild beasts and giant star beasts were huge treasures to any expert. Especially the corpses of the giant star beasts. There were treasures everywhere. If he could kill thousands of wild beasts or giant star beasts, the improvement to the Dragon Palace would be terrifying. Continue flying forward? In the next few days he did not encounter any special treasures. After flying for half a month, he was now in the deepest part of the invincible domain. Forest? The deepest forest of the invincible domain is a long river, the Starlight River. Located in the deepest part of the invincible domain, the scenery ahead was not as desolate as the outside. Instead, it was densely forested, and a long river ran through the entire domain, as though it was a dividing line. At the limits of his vision he could see a large number of meteorites and the like. The entire space was filled with vitality. Wild beasts and giant star beasts like to build their own nests and environments to their liking. Wang Xian thought to himself as he continued flying forward. Soon he came to the front of the long river. The width of the entire river was over 100 million kilometers, but he could not see the end of its length. It was a dividing line. He did not enter the opposite side of the river immediately. Instead he flew along the river. This was because he had obtained a piece of information from the memories of those skeletons. On this long river there was a trading ground. Trading was something that experts had to do. Naturally, trading grounds were born. However, there were no rules in this trading ground. It was normal to encounter a fight. Other than the trading ground on this long river, there was another interesting thing. Within this long river, there was a crazy demon floating along the long river. He was known as the water demon. When he was in a frenzy, no matter who the other party was, they would be attacked by him. The number of experts who died in his hands had exceeded 100. He also had moments of clarity, and when he was sober, he would appear at the trading ground. In addition, at the edge of this long river, there was a treasured land. These treasured lands had gathered a powerful circle. That circle was known as the Devil Breakers. Sometimes, the wild beasts or giant star beasts on the other side of the river would attack the experts on this side and hunt down the other old monsters in the invincible domain. Wang Xian decided to go to the trading ground to take a look at the situation there. If there weren't many experts in the trading ground, he didn't mind exposing the treasures in his hands to see if there would be any idiots who were courting death to ambush him. He continued flying upwards. A few days later, a slightly dilapidated meteorite that looked like a continent appeared in his sight. The surface area of the continent was only about 10 million kilometers, and there were experts active on it. Wang Xian flew over and sized up the surroundings. Some experts also noticed Wang Xian's arrival and were also sizing him up. Wang Xian ignored them and arrived at the center of the continent in a flash. In the center was an area shrouded by an array. Within the array there were many figures moving around. There were skeletons, humans, demonic beasts, etc. There were at least 1,000 of them. However, these humans and demonic beasts weren't strong. Their strength was at the level of a second-order universe sovereign. They were the messengers for these experts, and they could also be the service providers. Or perhaps there were some treasures here, and these people were responsible for passing messages and conducting transactions. Chapter 3646. According to the memories I've obtained, many of these messengers are clones created by the old monsters in the invincible domain. There are no rules in the invincible domain. Through this method they can ensure their own safety. Wang Xian looked at the trading area, his eyes shining. He hesitated for a moment and then flew down to the ground. Below him there was an array formation. When he landed he could easily enter it. However, after entering he felt a powerful force suppressing him. Suppressing his own strength, this suppression made it so that he couldn't even use 1/10 of his strength. This grand array was left behind on this continent. Its function was to protect and suppress the enemy. Even a crazy demon would not be able to break this array. As for the suppressive force, no matter which expert entered, they would not be able to display even 1/10 of their strength. This was the perfect trading area. Wang Xian did not attract the attention of many experts when he entered. The entire trading area was very small, spanning only 10,000 kilometers. There weren't many experts walking around here. Every expert had a card around them, and on it was written the items they were trading. Wang Xian swept his gaze across. There were many items being traded, including the corpses of cosmic beasts. He saw all kinds of magical herbs, treasures, innate spiritual treasures, goo worms, strange items, and even forbidden arts. There are even dark ghost clones? Wang Xian saw a signboard beside an illusory figure with the words, "Trading Dark Ghost" written on it. Unknown Dark Ghost Bait. Currently, with the upgrade of the Dragon Palace and the Progenitor Tree, Wang Xian could have 2 more Dark Ghost clones. As long as he could obtain Dark Ghost, he could quickly reach the same level as him. Wang Xian's current combat strength, without relying on the 5 elements Grindstone, Tai Chi Dragon Coil and Unbeginning Sacred Wings, was at the level of a first-order universe sovereign. His Nether Ghost avatar also possessed this kind of strength. Adding 1 more Dark Ghost clone was equivalent to adding the strength of an ordinary first-order universe sovereign. This was a significant increase. If all 4 of his Nether Ghost avatars worked together, the power they could display was even stronger than the 5 elements Grindstone. Wang Xian moved and instantly appeared in front of the stall. At the side of the stall, a Netherworld expert glanced at him but didn't say anything. 5 eternal womb fruits that can stabilize their minds in exchange for 2 Dark Ghost clones. Tell your master if he's willing to trade, said Wang Xian to the expert from the Undead clan. A treasure to stabilize the mind? The expert from the Nether clan was taken aback, and his face was filled with astonishment. What divine fruit? I need to take a look. The expert from the Undead race stared at Wang Xian and asked immediately. Buzz. With a flick of his palm, the soul-returning fetus fruit appeared in front of him. The aura of a peak universe supreme level fruit can indeed stabilize the mind, but 5 of them for 2 dark ghost avatars is too little. The Nether Ghost Race expert's eyes lit up as he carefully sized them up and spoke. Ask your master. If he doesn't want to trade, then so be it, said Wang Xian plainly. The eyes of that expert from the Nether Ghost clan flickered, and then he slowly closed his eyes. Bus. However, Wang Xian soon sensed a change in the aura of this expert from the Nether clan. His aura was rising rapidly, and his temperament had also undergone a drastic change. A pair of deep eyes stared at Wang Xian. Then, his gaze landed on the eternal womb fruits in front of him. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? Asked the expert from the Nether clan with a tinge of doubt. Yes. Wang Xian nodded and did not hide anything. He stared at him and asked, "Are you willing to trade?" "Deal. I want more eternal womb fruits." The expert from the Nether clan replied immediately. "More eternal womb fruits? That depends on whether you can come up with enough items." Wang Xian smiled and said, "I only need 2 dark ghosts. I won't take any more." "Dragon King, your asking price is too high," said the expert from the Nether clan. "It's a rare commodity. If you don't want it, you don't have to take it." Wang Xian replied plainly. "Give me 4. The expert from the Nether clan waved his palm, and 2 dark ghosts and 10 innate spiritual treasures appeared in his hands. Wang Xian revealed a smile when he saw it. He waved his palm again and 4 eternal womb fruits appeared in his hands. The deal was completed. To Wang Xian, such a deal was a huge profit. Dragon King of the Dragon Palace? Divine fruit that can stabilize one's mind? At this time, an expert at the side couldn't help but exclaim in a low voice when he saw the deal. "Yes. Consume the eternal womb fruits to stabilize one's mind. Your master wants to trade and take out the treasures. You should all know my price, right?" Wang Xian looked around and spoke with a faint smile. As he spoke, an identical figure appeared beside him. One of the figures moved and left the place immediately. Wang Xian had left a doppelganger here to prevent a large number of experts from besieging him. As for his real body, he could hide in other places. His doppelganger would complete the deal. If someone wanted to attack him, it wouldn't matter even if his doppelganger died. The treasures of his doppelganger could also be placed in the God Nation, which was the Dragon Palace. This method was also used by many old monsters in this trading venue. There are still a few thousand eternal womb fruits left on the ancestral tree. Currently, they are of no use to the Dragon Palace. If I can exchange them for a large batch of innate spiritual treasures and resources, it will be of great benefit to the Dragon Palace. As Wang Xian flew out of this continent, he could sense many eyes on him. He immediately increased his speed. Swish. He flew for half an hour, and his eyes scanned the surroundings. Immediately, he flew towards the opposite side of the river. When he arrived at the territory of the wild beast Galactic Beast, he hid on top of a tree. This place wasn't too far away from the trading venue. Wang Xian hid on top of the tree and sensed everything that was happening in the trading venue. The Dragon King of the Dragon Palace wants to trade here. Inform our master immediately. It's a treasure that can stabilize one's mind. To our master, it's a life-saving item. Such a divine fruit is extremely tempting to the crazy demons. It will also be of great use to our master. At this moment, Wang Xian's arrival caused quite a stir in the trading venue. The aura of some second-order universe sovereigns instantly changed. Clearly, they were occupied by the old monsters and looked towards Wang Xian's doppelganger. This doppelganger of Wang Xian had the strength of a third-order universe sovereign. He sat there with his legs crossed, wrote down the trading rules and looked around with a smile. Chapter 3647. The Dragon King has appeared at the trading center. Who would have expected him to show up at the trading center? Not only that, but he is also openly trading the divine fruit that can stabilize one's mind. Many old monsters in the invincible domain have received the news. Who would have expected the Dragon King to be so unscrupulous? I heard that after his real body arrived, he left behind a doppelganger. The Dragon King is still cautious and not arrogant enough to think that he is invincible. Let's go. We have the treasure that the third prince gave us. Through his doppelganger we can find his real body. In the invincible domain, the news of Wang Xian's appearance at the trading center immediately reached the ears of the old monsters from the Angel clan. They had left their underlings in the trading center. The moment Wang Xian appeared, they naturally received the report from their underlings. This was a pleasant surprise for them. They had been searching for the Dragon King during this period of time. However, the invincible domain was too vast. Without any news or clues, it was difficult to find him. Over a dozen experts from the Angel clan flew towards the trading center immediately without any hesitation. It wasn't just the Angel clan. In a forest in the Invincible Domain, 40 to 50 phoenixes flapped their beautiful wings and flew towards the trading center. In addition, other experts who received the news also rushed towards the trading center immediately. Treasures that could stabilize one's mind were extremely useful for most experts in the Invincible Domain. In fact, all the top-notch old monsters in the Invincible Domain who received the news also flew towards the trading center. To some of the top-notch old monsters, they were very close to going crazy. Once their strength continued to increase, they might not be able to keep up with the increase in strength. Once they couldn't keep up, they would go crazy. Therefore, treasures that could stabilize one's mind were extremely important to them. When they received the treasures that could stabilize one's mind from the Dragon King in the trading center, experts flew over one after another. Swish, swish, swish. In the trading center, the old monsters from the Invincible Domain had left treasures with their underlings or doppelgangers. When they wanted to come over, they could easily teleport over. Soon, figures appeared around the trading center. In some places, there were over a dozen figures that appeared instantly. Their gazes swept across their surroundings, filled with vigilance. In the Invincible Domain, there were many people who were opponents and enemies. There were no rules here. If one wanted to survive here, one had to be careful and vigilant. After all, many experts from the top clans were gathered here, and many of these experts were extremely strange. An assassination attempt by the Dark Race. The mysteries of the Magi race. The Sea of Skeletons of the Skeleton Clan. Go inside. Some of the experts moved and immediately flew towards the trading center. The trading area was a place left behind when the Invincible Domain was first formed. Once they stepped inside, their strength would greatly decrease. But that didn't mean that they couldn't fight here, so they were still very careful. However, the trading center was extremely small. When they entered, they immediately saw Wang Xian's doppelganger. A signboard was erected there. Everyone could see it clearly. One soul returning fetus fruit could be exchanged for 5 connate spiritual treasures. That's the Dragon King. His aura is very weak. It's just a clone. A divine tiger stared at Wang Xian with gleaming eyes. I heard that this fruit is at the pinnacle of the venerable realm. This is an exorbitant price. An old man moved and came to the front of Wang Xian's clone. Dragon King, can you show us a soul-returning fruit? He said to Wang Xian. Sure. Wang Xian moved his palm and a fruit appeared in front of him. The aura of the soul-returning fruit spread to the surroundings. All the experts could sense it clearly. A pinnacle of the venerable realm. Your price is too high. The old man looked at Wang Xian. Such a high price might offend some people. Why not make it cheaper and make some friends? Offend people? Scram if you can't afford it. Don't lose your life over a fruit. Wang Xian looked at the old man and answered calmly. His words caused the old man's face to instantly darken. His expression changed and he let out a light snort. Hee, if you want to trade, go ahead. If not, scram. This price won't change, said Wang Xian expressionlessly as he swept his gaze across the surroundings. This Dragon King is so arrogant. There's no other way. They have clearly marked the price. It's up to you whether you want to trade or not. Some of the experts frowned slightly when they heard his words. I want an everlasting fetus fruit. At this time, a figure wearing a bamboo hat and shrouded in green energy walked over and took out 5 innate spiritual treasures. Wang Xian moved his palm and traded. The first trade was completed. He was secretly delighted. This was a pleasant surprise. When he came here, he did not expect the everlasting fetus fruit to be so useful. There was no need for the Tai Chi Dragon Board and 5 Elements Grindstone to devour the innate spiritual treasures. This was because the enhancement of the Tai Chi Dragon Board and 5 Elements Grindstone could only be enhanced by some unique treasures. These treasures could be similar to the 12th tier Water Lotus. Of course, if Wang Xian had a way to melt the innate spiritual treasures, the Tai Chi Dragon Board and 5 Elements Grindstone could also absorb the innate spiritual treasures to enhance themselves. However, innate spiritual treasures were extremely sturdy and difficult to destroy. Therefore, these innate spiritual treasures, they could be given to the experts of the Dragon Palace. Although the divine dragons did not need to use weapons like swords, spears, or rods, some special innate spiritual treasures could enhance the strength of the divine dragons. Secondly, innate spiritual treasures could be melted and could help the divine dragons nurture the Dragon Ball. These innate spiritual treasures were prepared for the experts of the Dragon Palace. The old monsters in the invincible domain were all extremely powerful existences. They had lived for a long time and would have many treasures in their hands. Innate spiritual treasures were rare, but there were many of them in the universe. This was because some innate spiritual treasures could be forged after birth. Dragon King, I want 2 everlasting fetus fruits. The first trade was completed. Soon an expert from the Divine Tiger clan came over, took out some resources and spoke to Wang Xian. Wang Xian immediately took out 2 everlasting fetus fruits. In the invincible domain, most of the old monsters were still in awe of Wang Xian. After all, the Tai Shui Demon King, the old scholar, the Black Tower Sorcerer, and even the crazy Devil Seal had died in the hands of Wang Xian. In the entire invincible domain, there were probably no more than 3 who could defeat the Dragon King in a one-on-one battle. In fact, none of them existed. Some of the old monsters without a team or influence could only resort to trade if they wanted to stabilize their mental state and obtain treasures. Moreover, for many of the old monsters, some of the treasures in their hands were useless to them. Chapter 36-48. How's the effect of consuming the eternal pregnancy fruit? In the trading area, the expert from the Divine Tiger clan who had purchased 2 eternal pregnancy fruits walked to the side. Beside him, there were a dozen experts from the Divine Tiger clan. When they saw him consuming an eternal pregnancy fruit, they couldn't help but ask. It's useful. It's very useful. I can clearly feel that my mind is much clearer now. That expert from the Divine Tiger clan could feel the changes in his body and couldn't help but glow. Without any hesitation, he consumed the second fruit. The effect isn't bad. At least it's beneficial to me. However, I reckon the stronger one is, the lesser the effect. I can only consume it in large quantities. That expert from the Divine Tiger clan continued. Let's go and trade some. The other experts from the Divine Tiger clan nodded and walked towards Wang Xian's doppelganger. Dragon King, we want 30. You have any? A dozen experts from the Divine Tiger clan walked over and asked. Not to mention 30, even 300 are available. Wang Xian smiled faintly and said to them. Huh. Upon hearing Wang Xian, the experts from the Divine Tiger clan were taken aback. With a wave of their palms, all the trading treasures appeared in front of them. We are buying so many at once. Can you give us one for free? An expert from the Divine Tiger clan couldn't help but ask. If you buy 100, I can give you one. 30 is too little. Wang Xian rejected them directly. This made the experts from the Divine Tiger clan frown slightly, but they didn't say a word. Wang Xian took out 30 eternal pregnancy fruits and kept over 100 inborn spiritual treasures into the Dragon Palace. Did you hear what the Dragon King said? He can even take out 300. A fruit at the pinnacle of the universe supremacy level. Such a divine fruit isn't precious to the pinnacle races. However, divine fruits with such effects are extremely rare. The reason why the Dragon King can take out so many eternal pregnancy fruits must be because of a powerful divine tree in the Dragon Palace. This divine tree must have borne a large number of eternal pregnancy fruits. That should be the case. If he can take out 300, it seems like the Dragon King will soon have eternal pregnancy fruits. He's making a killing this time. There are so many eternal pregnancy fruits on hand, and they are selling them at such a high price. This is simply daylight robbery. When the surrounding experts heard Wang Xian's words, they were filled with passion and helplessness. The price was too high. But since that was the case, many experts immediately headed towards Wang Xian to trade. In just one day, Wang Xian had traded over 300 eternal pregnancy fruits. Tiske, the old monsters of the invincible domain are really expensive. Wang Xian, who was hiding on top of a tree, was observing the day's harvest. He looked slightly excited. That was more than 1,500 Khanate numinous treasures. What a haul. This was insane. But the eternal pregnancy fruit he sold? Not even 1/10 of it. Master, the Dragon Palace's Dragon King has been trading for an entire day? According to my calculations, he should have traded more than 340 eternal pregnancy fruits. He should still have a lot of them with him. As time passed, more and more old monsters arrived. Their subordinates reported the situation. When he heard that there were more than 400 eternal pregnancy fruits, all of their breaths were incomparably hot. How many of these fruits does the Dragon King have? Some old monsters couldn't help but think to themselves. As time passed, the trading continued. Although there weren't as many as at the beginning, there were still old monsters rushing over to carry out some trades. The surroundings of the trading center? More and more experts gathered. In just a short period of time, there were more than 1,000 of them. Almost 700 fruits have been traded? That's crazy. How many does the Dragon King have in stock? As the third day approached, some old monsters couldn't help but exclaim. 3 days was a very short period of time for them. But in these 3 days? They had witnessed the trading of the Dragon Palace's Dragon King. This was simply violence. He was earning like crazy. Great Witch. Great Witch. At this moment, a respectful voice was suddenly heard. When the surrounding old monsters heard this form of address, their expressions changed slightly. They quickly looked behind them. Behind them, an old lady with a magic staff was walking over. The old lady's face was filled with dense tattoos. Her exposed skin was also covered in tattoos. She was only about 1.5 meters tall and looked hunched. However, the surrounding old monsters were filled with vigilance and fear when they saw her. Some of the old monsters even hid in the distance. Old Witch. She's here. She's here too. An expert from the Black Tortoise clan said solemnly as he narrowed his eyes when he saw the figure walking over. The old witch didn't pay attention to any of the experts around her and walked straight into the trading center. She looked at Wang Xian and walked over directly. Great Witch. Great Witch. When the surrounding old monsters from the invincible domain saw her, they quickly made way for her. The arrival of the old witch instantly attracted Wang Xian's attention. As he looked at this figure, information about her appeared in his mind. Old Witch. An old monster from the Sorcerer clan. She used to be a horrifying maniac. However, a long time ago she used a special method to suppress her mind and stopped her from being a maniac. However, her strength was definitely at the level of a maniac, much stronger than the maniac seal. Moreover, she was widely recognized as the strongest sorcerer in the invincible domain. She was also known as Old Witch. 10. The old witch walked to Wang Xian and said to him, 50 inborn spiritual treasures flew over. All right. Wang Xian nodded and kept them. Immediately he passed 10 eternal pregnancy fruits to her. The old witch looked at the eternal pregnancy fruits and sensed the aura they exuded. Her expression fluctuated. She opened her palm and the tattoo on her palm shone brightly. The eternal pregnancy fruits disappeared. The old witch did not leave. Instead, she stood there as though she was waiting for something. Great. However, 10 seconds later, a creepy voice came from the old witch's mouth. Her murky eyes revealed a creepy expression as she stared at Wang Xian. She gripped her wand tightly in her hand. 100. Give me 100 eternal pregnancy fruits. As she spoke in a creepy voice, she stared at Wang Xian with burning eyes. The aura of the old witch had also changed. Waves of energy dispersed to the surroundings. What's going on? The old witch wants 100 eternal pregnancy fruits from the Dragon King. Do you want to trade or? The sudden change startled everyone. Some of the old monsters hurriedly retreated and looked on. If you want it, trade with your items. Wang Xian looked at the changes in the old witch. His eyes flickered as he spoke calmly. Chapter 3649. I don't have enough resources on hand. Give me 100. If I can solve the problem with my body and make a breakthrough, I'll compensate you. Upon hearing Wang Xian's words, the old witch stared at him and said, Freeloading? Wang Xian sneered at her. If you don't have anything to trade, get lost. Don't disturb my business. This? The Dragon King doesn't care about the old witch at all. He's not giving her any face at all. Of course not. The old witch is strong, but the Dragon King isn't weak either. The surrounding old monsters' eyes lit up when they saw the sudden change. Cough cough, Dragon King, do you know that it's best not to offend a sorcerer? Otherwise you'll wish you were dead. Don't worry, I'll make you hand over all the eternal pregnancy fruits you have. As the old witch spoke, the tattoo on her body seemed to have come alive and extended towards Wang Xian's avatar. Wang Xian looked over with a cold gleam in his eyes. Old thing, you're courting death. Cough cough, is that so? The old witch smiled eerily and the tattoo extended to Wang Xian's feet. Wang Xian immediately felt a terrifying force restraining him. In the trading center, everyone's strength would be suppressed. However, this was just an avatar of Wang Xian and wasn't very strong. Facing the old witch, he couldn't put up any resistance. Crackle. Streaks of lightning appeared around Wang Xian and attacked the old witch in front of him. The old witch stood in front of him without moving. The tattoos on her body shone brightly and easily blocked the attack. Cough cough cough, Dragon King, you're very strong. However, leaving this avatar here is your biggest weakness. If you don't hand over all the eternal pregnancy fruits to me, I'll destroy you and your dragon palace. As the old witch spoke, Wang Xian's avatar, which was covered by the tattoo, was gradually melted into flesh and blood. From the position of the legs, it slowly condensed into a piece of flesh. Wang Xian lowered his head and saw his avatar being killed. He looked at the old witch calmly and said, "You'll die." As he finished his sentence, the entire avatar melted into a ball of flesh. Cough, cough, cough. "I'll die?" The old witch smiled sinisterly. She extended her hand to take the blood orb and walked straight out. This. The old witch actually destroyed the Dragon King's doppelganger. The old witch wants to use the Dragon King's clone to curse his body? Make the Dragon King submit. The old witch is the strongest wizard in the invincible region. If she curses the Dragon King in her own lair, wouldn't the Dragon King be cursed at all times? How can the Dragon King dodge it? The price of the Dragon King's eternal embryo fruit is too high. The old witch wants to deal with the Dragon King. This time the Dragon King will suffer. The surrounding old monsters of the invincible domain saw this scene. His face was filled with astonishment. Another terrifying existence in their invincible domain? Another mad demon-level existence? The old witch attacked the Dragon King. He even killed the Dragon King's doppelganger. This made them very shocked. Some were surprised, while others cheered. The Dragon King was selling the eternal pregnancy fruit at such a high price? This had already caused many old monsters to feel very displeased. The old witch was holding the flesh ball of Wang Xian's doppelganger in her hand. The creepy old face that was filled with tattoos revealed a smile and flew forward. At this position, without reaching a certain level of strength, it was impossible to return to one's holy kingdom instantly. Even the old witch couldn't do it. She wanted to return to her lair, and then curse the Dragon King? To enslave him. TSK? Old thing? Since you're courting death, I'll fulfill your wish. At this moment, Wang Xian, who was hiding on the tree, sensed everything. His eyes were filled with cold killing intent. This old witch wanted to make him submit to her through curses. With a long-distance curse, there was no room for resistance. Moreover, she would do all this in her own lair. By then, even if Wang Xian could find her lair, the old witch wouldn't be afraid. Because in her own lair, she was confident that she could fight 3 to 4 existences of the same level as her. The Dragon King could kill the crazed demon seal, but in her own lair she was also confident that she could fight the Dragon King. This was also the reason why she dared to kill Wang Xian's doppelganger. A sorcerer's lair was extremely terrifying. Wang Xian could guess what the old witch was thinking. Therefore, when the old witch made her move, he flew in the direction of the trading center. This time he unleashed his speed to the extreme. With the speed of a second-order universe sovereign, he could reach the trading center in 10 minutes. This old witch has left the trading center. In this space, it's impossible to return to one's holy kingdom instantly. I'll be able to catch up with you in 15 minutes. Courting death, old thing. Wang Xian's eyes shone brightly. His doppelganger was killed, but Wang Xian had left the lightning power on the old witch. Unparalleled Sacred Wings Void Search. Now that Wang Xian's strength had increased, his void search ability had also improved tremendously. With his current strength, the lightning power on the old witch couldn't be sensed at all. Swoosh! Wang Xian flapped his unparalleled sacred wings and gave chase. In front of the trading center, the old witch was flying in one direction with the speed of a first-order universe sovereign. Clearly, that direction was the direction of her lair. Behind. The old monsters of the invincible domain didn't dare to follow an existence of the old witch's level. They could only watch as she left. News of what happened at the trading center spread like wildfire. After all, the Dragon King of the Dragon Palace had been selling mental stabilizing treasures in the trading center recently, attracting a large number of old monsters. There were still many old monsters on their way. Now that something like this happened, it naturally caused a huge commotion. 10 minutes was a very short time. If the old witch wanted to return to her lair, given her speed, she would need a day. It was a good idea to spread the news. After all, there were many sources of books and they were updated quickly. I sensed it, old thing. 10 minutes later, Wang Xian sensed the old witch's location. His dragon eyes were filled with murderous intent. Swoosh! The unparalleled sacred wings flapped, and the old witch's figure appeared in his sight. Wang Xian instantly transformed into his divine dragon form. The Tai Chi dragon coil circled around him, and the 5 elements grindstone hovered above him. At this moment, Wang Xian unleashed most of his trump cards and strength, and attacked the old witch. What? The old witch, who was flying in front, suddenly felt a horrifying power attacking her. Her eyes narrowed and she immediately looked back. Chapter 3650. In her line of sight, a horrifying divine dragon was charging towards her. Upon seeing this horrifying divine dragon, the old witch's pupils constricted and her face was filled with shock. Dragon King of Dragon Palace. She let out a low growl and the tattoo on her face flew out, forming a powerful mask array in front of her. The array formation in the shape of a mask exuded a strange energy, as if it wanted to suck everything into this strange mask. Old thing, how dare you kill my doppelgangers and attack me? Today will be the day you die. Upon seeing this mask array, Wang Xian waved his dragon claws and an illusory 5 elements grindstone appeared in front of him and charged towards the mask array. Boom! A horrifying collision was heard and the mask array was instantly destroyed by Wang Xian. Swoosh! The unbeginning sacred wings flapped and Wang Xian continued his attack on the old witch at a terrifying speed. The old witch's speed was much slower than Wang Xian's. There were 2 types of sorcerers. Sorcerers who specialized in formations and sorcerers who modified their bodies. The old witch had lived for a long time and was basically involved in both types of sorcerers. However, her forte was still in formations. In terms of physical body, she was only comparable to the top experts in the invincible domain. This was already considered very strong. However, in Wang Xian's eyes, she was much weaker. Sorcerers who specialized in formations were most afraid of close-range combat. They were most afraid of experts who excelled in speed. Wang Xian's speed happened to be the old witch's greatest counter. How did the Dragon King catch up to me so quickly? And how did he know my position? When the old witch saw Wang Xian charging towards her, her old and wrinkled face was filled with fear. As a sorcerer, she would never leave behind any traces or aura wherever she went. It was impossible for others to track her. However, the Dragon King had locked onto her so quickly. This surprised and shocked her. 9 tentacles get lost. The old witch saw Wang Xian appearing in front of her in an instant. Her pupils were twitching wildly as she roared eerily. This was because the tattoo on her face had disappeared. At this moment, her nose and mouth had disappeared and she looked extremely horrifying. Behind her, 9 sticky tentacles suddenly emerged and swept towards Wang Xian. Ah! Tragic cries could be heard coming from the tentacles. Vaguely, one could see that there were desolate beasts that looked like long snakes sealed on these tentacles. The power of each tentacle was no weaker than a third-order universe sovereign realm expert. 9 dragons clone. Wang Xian flapped his wings. 9 clones appeared around him in an instant, and each of them attacked one of the tentacles. Ah! Roars and screams intertwined with each other. The 9 dragon clones tore at the old witch's tentacles. These 9 tentacles were the modifications that the old witch had made to her physical body. Just based on the strength of her physical body, there was a huge gap between her and Wang Xian's strength. 9 tentacles under the attack of the 9 dragon clones? It began to rapidly collapse and fracture. Wang Xian revealed a cold smile as his dragon claws clawed at the old witch. Shadow array. The old witch saw her 9 tentacles being easily defeated. His expression changed drastically. He roared loudly. The tattoo on his body? Once again, it slowly separated from his body. His figure began to turn illusory. Wang Xian saw his figure disappearing mysteriously. His eyes turned cold. Searching the void? Great mighty heavenly dragon. He roared softly. In the sky above, a humongous divine dragon appeared and locked onto the old witch's figure. It attacked her directly. However, the illusory figure of the old witch disappeared completely. She disappeared from Wang Xian's sight. The great mighty heavenly dragon did not stop its attack when its target disappeared. Instead, it changed its target to the void on the right. It attacked at a terrifying speed. Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning saint wings and chased after it. This old witch really has some ability. She can imprint a formation on her body and activate it in an instant. The formation just now should be a void-shifting formation. It can teleport a very long distance in an instant. I recommend this app that I've been using recently. It supports both Android and Apple phones. Wang Xian sensed the old witch's position through the power of searching the void. Following the great mighty heavenly dragon's attack, he flew to the right. The Dharma law of the great mighty heavenly dragon's speed of attack was terrifying. It was like following closely behind. According to his senses, the old witch was 1 minute away from him. This distance was already extremely far. If Wang Xian did not have the ability to searching the void, he would have been able to escape with this move. Damn Dragon King. How dare you force me to use up a large number of arrays on my body? Once I return to my lair, I'll make you wish you were dead. Far away in the void on the right, the old witch growled in a low voice with a ferocious look on her face. She looked ahead and quickly flew in the direction of her lair. Her speed was still much slower than Wang Xian's. However, this was her limit. Old witch, do you think you can escape? 2 minutes later, a voice suddenly reverberated through the void. What? When the old witch heard this voice, her pupils shrank slightly. Her face was filled with shock as she immediately looked behind her. Boom. In her line of sight, the illusory figure formed by the energy that attacked her just now was chasing after her rapidly. Behind her, the Dragon King followed closely. How can you still lock onto my position? I've clearly placed your flesh and blood back into the Holy Kingdom. How can you still lock onto me? The old witch stared at Wang Xian as she let out a sharp questioning voice. As a powerful sorcerer, she was best at eliminating traces. Wherever she passed, wherever she went, there was not the slightest trace left behind. Under such circumstances, how could she still be locked onto? Old thing, I've already said that you're going to die. Swoosh. Wang Xian flapped his unbeginning sacred wings and appeared before her instantly. Roar roar. The great mighty heavenly dragon also charged towards the old witch. I avoid. Void array formation. The old witch's expression changed slightly. On her back, lines of tattoos surged towards her pupils. The old witch's surroundings were like a bubble surrounding him. The great mighty heavenly dragon attacked her. However, when it came before her and stretched out its dragon claws, the dragon claws passed directly and did not touch her. Wang Xian looked over and raised his eyebrows slightly. This array is somewhat similar to the Tai Chi Dragon's yin-yang space. However, this will only allow you to live a little longer. Wang Xian said coldly. With a swift move, he appeared in front of the old witch and locked his eyes on her. Chapter 3651, You damn Dragon King. I'll kill you. I'll kill you. The old witch looked at Wang Xian standing in front of her with a hideous expression. In her pupils, lines of words were flickering continuously. A unique and creepy array was released from her pupils. Hee old thing, I'd like to see where you can escape to. Wang Xian stared at her emotionlessly and said sarcastically. Trying to kill me? Impossible. The old witch stared at him hatefully. She turned around and continued to escape. Wang Xian swung his dragon claws but passed through her body easily. He couldn't hurt her physical body at all. Old thing, do you think I can't do anything to you just because you're hiding in this special space? Wang Xian moved and flew side by side with the old witch. However, the old witch seemed to be in another space and Wang Xian couldn't touch her at all. Cough cough cough, Dragon King, I'll let you know the consequences of offending a powerful sorcerer. The old witch turned around and roared with a hideous expression. Hee. Wang Xian chuckled. He clenched his dragon claws and the shadows of the two divine dragons, light and dark, gradually condensed on it. He slammed it heavily towards the space where the old witch was at. As the dragon claws slammed over, the entire space shook. Kaka. At this time, the sound of glass shattering was heard and the old witch's figure became more and more real. You can actually break this space of mine. The old witch stared at Wang Xian with a tinge of despair in her eyes. I'll return your flesh and blood to you. I won't curse you. Let me go. She stared at Wang Xian and shouted in a deep voice. What right do you have to negotiate with me now? Wang Xian's dragon claws slowly reached into the collapsing space and grabbed at the old witch. The dragon claws were filled with the deathly stillness of the 5 elements and the creepiness of yin and yang. This body of mine is only one of them. If you kill this body of mine, my other body will curse you and kill you. You will suffer endless attacks. Let me go, and I will return your flesh and blood doppelganger to you. I will never attack you again. The old witch's expression changed slightly when she saw the dragon claw grab her, and she shouted loudly. More than one body? The strength of this body of yours is slightly weaker than that of the insane devil seal, but it should still take up a large portion of your strength. Do you think I'm someone you can kill or abandon whenever you want? Wang Xian grabbed the body of the old witch with his dragon claws and stared at her coldly. Cough 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 cough, if you kill this body of mine, I won't rest until I'm dead. I will let you experience the terror of a magus. The old witch threatened ferociously. Bam. As soon as she finished her sentence, Wang Xian clenched his dragon claws and the destructive force attacked her vitality, killing her instantly. Ah! Dragon King, I want you dead. The moment this body died? Somewhere in the invincible domain. In a small forest there was a small house in the middle of the forest. The mournful voice came from the house. The hut didn't look big. However, the space inside was tens of thousands of kilometers. In the small house, there were many bottles and jars on the table. Inside these bottles and jars, different colors, all kinds of strange creature limbs. In the middle there were special strips of cloth. On the cloth strips there were patterns of arrays. And in the middle of these cloth strips, there was an old witch sitting with her legs crossed. The cloth strips were connected to her body, as though they were sealing herself. This was an ability of the old witch to fight against her inner demons. She couldn't control her powerful strength. She had divided her body into two. This body suppressed this place and sealed it with a seal to prevent the two bodies from merging. Although her strength would double after the merging, she would also lose her sanity. Now that the other body was dead, this body would be the only body of the old witch. The array lines on the surrounding cloth strips surged towards her body. With the death of the other body, she didn't have to worry too much about this body. Gradually, a horrifying aura came from this body of the old witch. She moved her palm and a meatball that contained dragon might appeared in front of her and floated in the air. I'll use the evilest curse to make you suffer the most painful attack. Dragon King, I'll make you pay 1,000 times the price. The old witch murmured as she started to set up the array with a hideous face. She wanted to use the curse sorcery to make the Dragon King surrender and even die. This old thing is courting death. This body is dead, but she obviously has other bodies. Wang Xian kept the old witch's body into the dragon palace and sensed it with his mind. His figure moved and he continued to fly forward. He could feel the piece of flesh and blood in his body. Wang Xian flew at his fastest speed. Under the explosive power, he could feel that he was getting closer and closer to that piece of flesh and blood. However, after flying for 2 hours, he suddenly sensed that a great terror was about to befall him. Cough cough cough, Dragon King, embrace your fear. A familiar voice suddenly sounded in Wang Xian's mind. He focused his eyes and stopped in his tracks. The Tai Chi dragon plate appeared and the yin-yang space gradually shrouded Wang Xian. In this space, Wang Xian could isolate all attacks and curses. Pa pa pa. At this moment, Wang Xian saw drops of blood falling around the yin-yang space, making sounds like raindrops. 11111. Soon, the sound of raindrops disappeared and was replaced by a sound that was filled with magic. This sound was incomparably creepy, full of charm and attraction, as though it could penetrate the defense of the Tai Chi dragon plate. This made Wang Xian's expression change slightly. At this moment, a majestic dragon roar was heard and a sacred dragon might pressed down on him. As the sound rang in his ears, Wang Xian looked around and saw cracks on the yin-yang space. What a strong and creepy curse sorcery. Wang Xian murmured as he lifted his head slowly. He seemed to be able to see a pair of hideous faces staring at him. Old thing, it's useless. As he spoke, he continued to fly forward. Defensive treasure. What a powerful defensive treasure. To think that it could withstand my curse. Dragon King, you are strong, but you have met me. You are going to die. You are going to die. When the old witch saw Wang Xian fending off her killing curse, she waved her arm. Clatter. The sound of bottles colliding could be heard as dozens of bottles came to her. She opened the bottles and poured the liquids and creepy items in them in front of her. Drops of liquids and pieces of creepy items fused together and formed the shape of a little ghost. But soon the little ghost turned illusory. The old witch placed the flesh and blood of Wang Xian's doppelganger in front of the little ghost. Chapter 3652, Gulp. The illusory little ghost swallowed Wang Xian's flesh and blood and gradually transformed into Wang Xian's appearance. Cough cough cough. Let's see how you're going to dodge this attack of flesh and blood. The old witch stared at the little ghost in Wang Xian's appearance with a fierce look in her eyes. She quickly drew a complicated array, and the little ghost in the array gradually disappeared. In the invincible domain, Wang Xian was rushing towards the old witch's nest when he suddenly felt something. Out of nowhere, Wang Xian felt that his flesh and blood had increased. The extra flesh and blood did not have any resistance to him, as though it was originally a part of his body. The sudden change made Wang Xian's eyes twitch. He suddenly had a bad feeling. However, the extra piece of flesh and blood had completely merged with his body, and he could not expel it. What's going on? Could it be a curse? A curse that directly attacks the source of the physical body. Wang Xian's eyes narrowed and he had a bad feeling. Thump thump. The next moment he felt his heart thumping violently. Shadow Dragon Doppelganger. Wang Xian felt a great horror descending on his body. Without any hesitation, he immediately cast the law of Dharma form that he had comprehended from this breakthrough. Shadow Dragon Doppelganger. This was a life-saving ability. By splitting a body he could withstand a fatal attack. Die die die. The moment Wang Xian's Shadow Dragon Doppelganger was cast, a sinister roar came from his original body. The sound came from his physical body, but he could not find where it came from. It was as though the physical body was making the sound automatically. In his sight, Wang Xian's physical body was slowly disintegrating and dissipating. What a strong curse and what a strange curse. It directly affects the physical body, and even the Tai Chi Dragon Coil can't withstand it. It's a good idea to spread the news and it's worth it. After all, he could read books in his memory and read them offline. Seeing this, Wang Xian's pupils constricted slightly. He revealed a vigilant look and with a thought, the dark ghost doppelganger appeared beside him. Of the 4 nether ghost doppelgangers, the last one had reached Wang Xian's current realm through the progenitor tree. The attack just now was extremely bizarre. Wang Xian wasn't sure if there would be more. If there was more, he could try transferring it to the dark ghost clone. Time ticked by. After confirming that there were no more curse attacks, Wang Xian made a move and continued flying towards the old witch's nest. Is he dead? At the same time, in the old witch's small house in the forest, the old witch sensed the collapse of the piece of flesh and muttered to herself. With the Dragon King's background, he should have a treasure that can resurrect him. He should not be dead. I need to take advantage of this time to recover my strength. The old witch muttered to herself. Was this the most powerful curse? He didn't want to kill the Dragon King. Did she understand? Such a powerhouse must have a way to revive and save his life. However, as long as she could severely injure the Dragon King, her goal would be accomplished. She was also heavily injured. His strength was less than half of his peak. However, she didn't leave this place to recover her strength. This was her nest and she had set up many arrays here. Now, even if she was severely injured? In her own nest? With the power of her nest, she could also unleash her peak strength outside. On the other hand, once she left this place, her strength would be equivalent to half of her peak strength. Therefore, it would be safer in her nest. The old witch waved her arm and some bottles and jars flew in front of her. She absorbed them rapidly. Just as she was recovering, Wang Xian was still rushing towards her at high speed. The Shadow Dragon Doppelganger had been activated and could withstand a fatal attack. Within a short period of time, at least for the next 3 days, he couldn't use this move again. Wang Xian didn't wait for the Shadow Dragon Doppelganger to recover before continuing his journey. Now, the old witch had suffered heavy injuries. This was the best time to kill the old witch. Once the old witch recovered to her peak, what if she hid in her own nest? It would be extremely difficult for Wang Xian to kill her. To attack the nest of a powerful sorcerer, the crazy old witch could take on 3, 4, or even 5. With such strength, Wang Xian couldn't kill her. Now was the best time. The old witch's nest didn't seem far to Wang Xian. After 10 hours, he stopped as he sensed something. The old witch's nest should be up ahead. There must be a large number of arrays set up in her nest, including illusory arrays, defensive arrays, offensive arrays, and creepy arrays. Wang Xian's eyes flickered. He concealed all his energy and flew forward. Soon, a small forest appeared in his sight. The forest wasn't very big, only about 10 million kilometers wide. There were some trees planted in this void forest, and Wang Xian could recognize them. Bamboo. In the sky above the forest, a small hut floated. The hut wasn't big and it looked extremely quaint. This forest, together with a small wooden hut, looked extremely creepy. Wang Xian's eyes flickered as he continued to approach. Swoosh swoosh. When Wang Xian approached the small forest, the trees inside suddenly moved without any wind. This made his eyes narrow. Brr. Suddenly, a roar was heard from within the small forest, and the surrounding wind blew violently. Within the forest, a patch of trees emitted green light, and the light condensed into the shape of a wind demon. The wind demon was vivid and lifelike. A pair of cold and violent eyes locked onto Wang Xian. Such strong observation skills. I'm still a distance away from the forest, and yet I've been discovered in an instant. No wonder you're the strongest sorcerer in the invincible domain. Wang Xian narrowed his eyes and similarly, a violent look appeared in his eyes. Today I'm going to barge into your nest. Roar. A violent roar came from his mouth, and Wang Xian transformed into his divine dragon form. The Tai Chi dragon plate floated around him, forming a terrifying defense. Boom. The 5 elements grindstone appeared and floated above his head. Brown energy shrouded Wang Xian completely. Boom. In the next instant, 4 doppelgangers of Nether Ghost appeared around Wang Xian. Defense break the demon. Lingling appeared beside Wang Xian's dragon head, and gently waved the water lotus staff in her hand. Layers of defense fell on Wang Xian. Swoosh. The unbeginning saint wings flapped, and Wang Xian stared at the small hut in the forest. With extreme speed he dashed towards it. Brr, brr. The crazy demon stared at Wang Xian and instantly attacked. The surroundings of the small hut in the forest seemed to have awakened, and a terrifying energy was brewing. Chapter 3653. What? Someone dares to invade my lair? Who is it? The Dragon King? The moment the spirit array around the hut was triggered, the old witch in the hut opened her eyes and looked outside with an awful look. When she saw that familiar figure, the old witch's expression became even more unsightly. She stood up slowly. The roof and the surroundings of the hut were flattened and formed a wooden board floating in the air. The old witch moved her palm and a staff with a 9-headed snake on it flew to her. She raised the staff and stared at Wang Xian who was charging towards her. Devil array open. Succubus array open. Upper 9 hidden sky array open. 9 beast sky devouring snake array open. Earth as 8 direction array open. Open open open. The old witch held the 9-headed snake staff and roared with a cold voice. Her blood-red eyes stared at Wang Xian. Rumble rumble rumble. With every sound she made, the surroundings of the hut in the forest shook violently. The entire void seemed to have undergone a huge change. It was as though he was in a special realm where all kinds of demons and ghosts appeared. Black fog shrouded him. Pairs of blood-red eyes appeared in the fog. Frenzied wild beasts appeared in the surroundings. All kinds of spirit arrays rose and each of them was incomparably terrifying. They shrouded towards Wang Xian. At this moment Wang Xian unleashed all his defenses. 5 elements grindstone, Tai Chi dragon coil, Nether Ghost Doppelganger, Lingling. He used all his trump cards and stacked all his defenses. To Wang Xian, as long as he could get close to her, he would be able to kill her. Therefore he couldn't fight her. He had to get close to her as soon as possible. And then kill her. For this, Wang Xian used all his trump cards. How strong was Wang Xian's trump cards combined? He relied on the unbeginning saint wings, which was comparable to the crazed demon seal. The Tai Chi dragon coil and the unbeginning saint wings were comparable to 2 crazed demon seals. 4 nether ghost doppelganger were stronger than 1 crazed demon seal. And Lingling. Wang Xian's current strength was comparable to 6 experts at the level of crazed demon seal. Even if the old witch wasn't injured and could control the array in her lair, she wouldn't be a match for Wang Xian. Of course, if the old witch was at her peak, it would be extremely difficult for Wang Xian to kill her in her lair. Now was his chance. Wang Xian did not want such a strange opponent and enemy to live for too long. With all the defense on his body, Wang Xian swayed his huge dragon body and charged towards the small house in the forest. When the wind demon charged over, it was crushed by Wang Xian's defense and terrifying speed. The black fog around them and the pupil within the black fog appeared. The dark ghost clone also released a blood-red pupil as it stared at the black fog. It directly caused it to collapse. Ao ao ao. A 9-headed serpent appeared in front of them. One by one, hideous heads charged towards Wang Xian to bite him. Bam bam bam. But, under Wang Xian's absolute defense, the head of the huge snake collided with it and started to crumble. The trees at noon in the cabin in the woods? Stretch out demonic branches? They wrapped around Wang Xian. But it was all useless. The bamboos transformed into terrifying weapons? They engulfed him. Bam bam bam. Only violent collisions could be heard. The bamboos broke one by one and fell into the void. All the attacks were blocked by Wang Xian's layers of defense. What a strong defense. Also, how can he have 4 dark ghost clones? Is this a special talent of the Nether clan? How can the Dragon King control the dark ghost clones? That's the companion spirit of the fairies. Why does the Dragon King have so many trump cards? In the small house in the woods? The old witch's expression changed drastically when she saw Wang Xian charging towards her with an indomitable will. Dark ghost clones. Companion spirits. These were the talents and treasures of other pinnacle races. The Dragon King also had them. Moreover, he had set up over a dozen powerful arrays around his lair. They couldn't stop the Dragon King's attack. Even though he was only at half of his peak, he wasn't afraid of facing other crazy demons, or even two when all the arrays were activated. But now, his arrays couldn't do anything to the Dragon King. The last layer of defense around him was still intact. How can an expert at the level of a universe supremacy explode with such terrifying strength? Even if it's a treasure that stabilizes one's mind, it shouldn't be this strong. The old witch roared in disbelief. Wang Xian stared at the old witch, his eyes filled with murderous intent. "I told you if you want to die, I won't let you live," he said coldly. No. I haven't broken through to the Universe Lord realm. I haven't taken the final step. I don't want to die, I don't want to die. The old witch looked at Wang Xian's invincible aura and roared crazily. She had cultivated for more than 10 billion years to reach this stage. Her lifelong wish was to break through to the Universe Lord realm and even become her inner demon. She wasn't willing to die now. She could die without regrets, but she had yet to see her own Tao. If you don't want to die, you have to die too. Wang Xian's dragon claws clawed at her, and the defensive arrays around her collapsed rapidly. The old witch's eyes widened as she watched this scene, her body trembling violently. "I'm willing to submit. I'm willing to submit to you, Dragon King. Don't kill me, don't kill me." Suddenly, the old witch roared with a terrified expression. Wang Xian heard her. He raised his eyebrows slightly. He ordered the 5 elements grindstone to float above the old witch's head and stared at her. "Submit?" He sized up the old witch and asked plainly. "Yes, I submit. I haven't broken through and I haven't become the Universe Lord. I submit. I want to become the Universe Lord." The old witch screamed at the top of her lungs. Becoming the Universe Lord was her life's obsession. "All right, devour this drop of blood essence and enter my dragon palace. After that, summon your god nation into the dragon palace." Wang Xian squinted his eyes and instructed. "All right." The old witch answered immediately without any hesitation. The old witch's submission had indeed surprised Wang Xian. Generally speaking, it would be extremely difficult to make someone of this level submit to them. This should have something to do with her obsession. Her lifelong wish is to reach the Universe Lord realm. Since she hasn't achieved it, she naturally doesn't want to die. Wang Xian chuckled. The old witch was definitely a terrifying existence, especially her curses and arrays. Even Wang Xian had to give it his all. If such an existence could be subdued, it would be a significant boost to the Dragon Palace. At the same time, it could also provide the Dragon Palace with a huge amount of knowledge regarding sorcerers. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.